It's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today I am reviewing the first season of Your Honor. Now, he watched it when it was on, which was, what did you say, 2020, 2021? I did not want to watch it then, and so I decided to watch it. It was a good show. It was about, if anybody wants to know, Bryan Cranston's a judge. He has a son. His son has asthma. It starts off, it's the anniversary of his wife and Adam is his son's mother's death. And Adam goes to put a picture of her and some flowers by this building. And when he does, these maybe it's a gang, I don't know, these people started going after him.
It's never explained.
Never talked about. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
That's the problem with some of the things in the show. But anyway, they go after him, and guess what? He's almost out of gas. In fact, his fuel light comes out. And with every car, it's different. When that light comes on, there's like a certain amount that's left, and it depends on what kind of car you have as to how much is left. And this was kind of an older car. This was like a beater, and it was his mother's car. And he never drove it, apparently, and his father never drove it. It was usually just sitting in the driveway of their house. Okay, so he's trying to drive really fast. Well, he's upset, and he's an asthmatic. So he's needs his inhaler. So he's looking for it, and he's fumbling because he can see the people in the back window running after him.
Is that how it works when you have asthma, that it triggers when you're upset about something?
It can be, yeah. It can. And so instead of pulling over, because this is high school, kid, and I'm sorry, I hope that doesn't offend you, but didn't use good judgment. Plus he can't breathe. And he doesn't pull over, so he it falls to the floor, the inhaler, and he doesn't look at the road, and he runs into a motorcycle boy, and of course that sends the boy flipping off his seat and onto the pavement, and I think to the curbing, and hits his head and his chest violently, and of course he's dying. Well, this just isn't any boy. This is a boy whose father's a mob boss. I guess the only mob family in New Orleans, because it's never mentioned that there's more than one, which is kind of bizarre. I don't think New Orleans is a little town.
Yeah, they kind of treat it like New Orleans is like two streets or something.
Yeah, you would think it's just a little town. And this mob boss family would stick out like a sore thumb. And anyway, and of course, they get all upset, and so he tells his father, and this is what the whole thing is set in motion from that time forward of misdeeds by the father trying to fix everything. All he has left of his son, and apparently his wife was having an affair before she died. But he doesn't want to diminish her. He knows this, the father, Bryan Cranston, but he doesn't want to diminish her in front of his son. But there's a corrupt police department, and then the mayor is his best friend. He tells the mayor that what happened, and they got to get rid of the car. Now, what does he tell him exactly? Because I don't think...
Safi, don't do the...
Okay, well, I can't tell everything.
Don't do the 2017 story time, Safi.
Okay, well, anyway, it's 10 episodes, which that's a good number, I think.
Yeah.
And
for starters.
Yeah, well, it's better than 6.
Yeah.
Because they got 4 more to make it a little bit dragged out, but...
And what do you know, that they did more stuff?
Yes, they did.
And they had a better show. Like, wouldn't you say obviously this is better than Dark Wind season 1 or 2?
Just because they get more episodes.
Yeah.
If the fewer episodes you have, the more stymied you are, I believe, and we've talked about this before. It doesn't matter what it is. Anyway, so let's see. Adam has before this all happened, Adam's girlfriend left the house. They were sleeping together in the morning, and guess who his girlfriend is? That's his teacher. And then later on, Adam gets involved with the daughter of the mob boss, and that's all kept quiet, that he was the one to hit this person, and he died. The kid on the motorcycle died, and he had just gotten a motorcycle as a present from his dad.
Safi, what's with the story? This is 2023. Like, people seen the show.
Well, not everybody has seen it, because I have never seen it.
Well, you don't really see anything except for propaganda news videos every day. So.
Well, that's not true. But anyway, it's just the lies. It just gets like deeper and deeper. And Bryan Cranston has been it seems like an exemplary judge. And
Safi, you're still doing it.
Well, I mean, so
when are you going to talk about the show?
He's throwing his career into the toilet.
When are you going to talk about the show?
I don't know what you're doing.
You're literally just telling people what happened on the show. Like, that's not what happens in a review. Like, that's like a
Marco
recap.
is criticizing my review,
because
so
it
I don't
sucks.
Well, that's too bad.
When are you going to review the show? Like,
well,
actually
the thing is
review
about
it.
everything that happens in it, it's very set up. And Marco's favorite word means it was a lot of contrivances. Everything is just set up perfectly for this to happen and to this event to happen. And no matter what it is, it just happens to be there, or it just happens to come up, or whatever. And it and the kid just seems kind of like spacey. And then there's this person, he has the mayor take the car. He wants to be taken to the junkyard, I guess, and gotten rid of.
Well, let's talk about you're doing it again. So let's talk about let's just pretend like I'm gonna be let's see, what would you call it? I'm gonna be your therapist right now. Let's just bullet point. What were some things that you liked about season 1 of Your Honor? Because I will say this: I basically rewatched the show. I would say that my opinion has changed in that when I first watched it, I really liked the first half, and I hated the second half. But now I really kind of don't like the first half, but I like the second half and prefer it because I don't know, it just seems better.
Well, what I thought Bryan Cranston's acting was excellent. And he in Breaking Bad, he was a good guy and then he turned into a bad guy.
And this is like a similar role.
It's a similar role, but he does not want to be the bad guy, but he's trying to protect his son. So he's like taking the fall for him in a way by keeping him out of it. And an African American boy, he was in I guess he was in a gang, but he just seemed so anti-gang like. He was taking his GED test at the time of the accident.
That doesn't matter.
Well, he just seemed like a nice person.
What was his name, Safi?
His name was Kofi.
Well, why don't you say that his name?
Okay, well, Kofi got.
Because there's multiple African American boys on the show. You have the good one, Coffee. Coffee was a good character, and I would have preferred it if he survived because he was so much more likable and a better actor. And then you had the bad one, and that was Eugene. And we're going to be doing as well top 10 best and worst TV characters of all time. And I'll just spoil it now. I would put Eugene as the second worst TV character of all time.
Okay, well, Kofi, because he took the car at the request of Bryan Cranston's best friend, the mayor, and he got blamed for the hit and run. because what happened was Adam left the scene of the accident. He did not stay, so it was, and then he died. The kid who was on the motorcycle died. So that was, it just permeated. It was just like an ugly thing that permeated, horrible death that permeated the whole episode. And it started out with a mother who had died a year before, but it turned out to be this ugly thing with the kid.
Well, let's not just tell people what happened on the show.
Well, okay, Marco, I have to say a little bit about what happened.
How do you feel about that, Safi?
Oh God!
How do you feel about that? Remember that?
I told you. I thought he was.
What movie is that from?
I don't know. There's a lot of movies.
The Freaky Friday remake.
Oh yeah, that's right. That'd be a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, for you.
Oh, I like it. So you have this mob boss, one mob family, which is odd to me and doesn't make sense. To have one in New Orleans, for one thing, and to be only one family. That was an odd thing.
We're talking about the things that you like now. You have to focus, okay?
Well, I
have to guide you now.
God!
Okay, things that
Oh my God.
I have to guide you.
I told you, the things I liked about it was Bryan Cranston's acting. Because I thought, it was impeccable. Really. And did he get any award for it?
I don't think so.
That's too bad. Because he was really good. And the rest of everybody else...
Yeah, it was really funny.
They were like the supporting actors, but I don't know if any of them were... Maybe the mob boss himself.
Well, that was funny because
his wife.
In the first episode, you were saying the mob boss wasn't a good actor. And I was like, God, what is Safi smoking? Well, and then she watched episode 2 and on. She was like, "Oh, he's really good."
Well, I know. They had the 10 episodes to show his behavior.
Don't fuck with Jimmy.
Oh God.
Although
Let's not say bad words, okay?
He's not gonna fucking do much to you except for stab a grapefruit and kill a bird. Oh yeah, and Safi.
Oh yeah, I did not like the episode where they had a beautiful.
You had a temper tantrum. You're like, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. Wah!
I don't like when they.
That's what you're like.
I don't like it when innocent animals get killed, and I know they're not really getting killed, but this was an exotic bird, and they're just not. It's not like you can just pick up an exotic bird anywhere you want, and he killed it because he was upset about his son getting killed, and I didn't like that. But he ends up, he and his wife, I believe, and Bryan Cranston, I think, were the 3 best actors. And
well, I like the daughter, and
yeah, she did.
That's about
job. It. Yeah. So anyway, they have Kofi, and of course Kofi. They blame him. Like I said, there's a corrupt police department.
You're doing it again.
And so he gets blamed.
Do you like that?
He gets killed.
Do you like that?
By a member of the mob boss family.
Safi, focus. What are things that you liked?
Well, this...
It's going to take hours
I didn't like the corrupt police department, but I guess that's... as it is. They all knew it. Everybody in the whole show knew that there was a corrupt police department.
But what did you like? What else did you like?
Well, the thing that I didn't like about it is that it was depressing. There wasn't anything good in it. Good meaning anything that was happy or welcoming or friendly or like a light on the horizon where something was going to improve. It was just all bleak.
But what did you like? What else did you like? You liked the romance between Fiat and Adam.
Yeah, and he has Adam. He decides he wants to I don't know. And this is just. But see, this is a high school boy. He doesn't exactly have the best judgment, but he's not loud.
Yeah, that's
he's
why.
He's a quiet person.
That's why he's already doing stuff with his teacher.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but he still was quiet. He wasn't a loudmouth, boasting, getting into trouble, except he did run away from this accident. But I mean, that, he was not a big troublemaker and loud.
And he made some of the stupidest decisions the whole season.
Yeah, terrible decisions.
It got very irritating, because at first you're like, okay, he made some stupid decisions here, but maybe for the rest of the season we'll like him and feel sorry for him. But then he just keeps on making stupid decisions, like...
He approaches the mob boss's daughter, the sister of the boy he left to die on the curb.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I thought it was, why would you court danger? Because he did one thing. He was ready to turn himself in. And he was with his dad. They're going to the station. His dad goes in first because he's a judge. He's going to lay the groundwork. And he sees who the kid is related to. And then it goes downhill from that.
But
there's nothing good and nothing positive.
Yeah, things that you like, though. Other things that you like. I just
liked it because it had enough episodes, I think, to explain everything.
I'll just say things that Safi said she liked while she was watching it, since she's so retarded she's incapable of saying it herself. She liked the courtroom stuff.
I love the courtroom stuff.
She thought it was very well done, and she loved all that, especially the lawyer who, I still do not like. I don't like either lawyer. I didn't like the defense guy.
Well, they really played their parts, though.
And I didn't like that female prosecutor who's just like...
She hated him.
She's like, fuck you.
Yeah, she was very...
Those are the words
that...
Like, she was very, like, baity and, like, immature, kind of. And
she hated the defendant.
But they both did good job acting. It's just the characters. I thought they were both like... Ugh.
Well, I thought they both did a good job.
Yeah.
And because they really played their parts.
Everyone really did a good job except for one
Marco really hated this one actor. He points him out to me, and he's Kofi's younger brother.
I said, look, he's you might think he's just like this background character right now, but pretty soon you're going to see why he's the second worst character in TV show history. Like,
he has no affect.
He's just so bad.
I would love to know what he's like in real life.
Well,
because he rarely, maybe, I'm talking about 10 episodes, all right? And he rarely showed any affect. What do I mean by that, if you don't know? Like he felt anything. He was like a robot. And, anything positive, like, hey, yeah, of course there wasn't much to be positive about his life during the whole thing.
Well, let's get to the things that we didn't like now, because let's rag on Eugene.
Oh, God.
Well,
His name is Eugene.
Yeah.
But I've seen this actor before.
My name is Eugene Jones.
I've seen this actor before, and he was in a Goosebumps, that teenage Goosebumps show.
And that was shitty, too.
And he was terrible. He had no affect in that show, either.
But you were saying that he's not positive about anything. And, well, I wanted to say, too, like, every time there is something that's actually positive that happens for him, he still just acts the same. Like, this Lee, remember, you guys, he's just allowed to run around rampant after his family's dead. I guess just nobody cares.
His mother and his 3 siblings.
That's not reality.
Little kids, like in grade school, they were blown up.
Yeah, they all get exploded.
They were blown up by the mob family because they thought that Kofi, who was Eugene's older brother, would kill the Italian boy who was on the motorcycle.
And then he wears that hilariously bad T-shirt.
Yeah, Marco made this big, and he told me about this a few years ago when he was watching this. After they die, his mother and his 3 siblings, the younger kids, he wears this T-shirt that has their picture on it. Well, that apparently, to all the people who know New Orleans, that's something that they do when there's a death. They get a T-shirt and they have special shops, and you go in and you have the pictures on it, and maybe it says something, which it did. I don't remember what it was.
And every time it was on screen, I started laughing.
We don't do that here. We don't do that here, so it was very odd. But since he already told me about it, he said somebody commented on our site to him.
No, multiple people.
Well, that's just something cultural.
It was like a Fargo season 4 review where people are saying that we're racist because we said that was bad. Okay, while Safi's ruining the review even more, I'm gonna just go into more why Eugene sucks. You know what? So
Marco.
He's allowed to run rampant around the city for no reason.
Drugs.
He's just like, oh, this kid, his whole family's gone. Oh, well, the government's not going to put him into the system. He's just going to be allowed to run around rampant and do whatever he wants. And then he becomes a gang member immediately because that's the smart thing to do.
And the gang is head by a female, like an older lady, like a grandma lady type.
No, she's not grandma.
She's not? She looks like a grandma.
That's what's weird is that in this season she looks like she's in her 60s. And then in season 2, she takes off the scarf and she immediately, you can tell she looks like she's in her 30s.
Oh.
And it's really weird. It's like...
That is weird.
I didn't even know that it was the same person until like episode 8, like... The whole season I had thought that she was someone new or something, but no, it was the same woman.
Well, she's in charge of the gang, which is really all these boys. There's no girls. I don't know where they are. I guess they had good sense enough not to be in it, or she doesn't want them.
That's another weird thing. Is in season 2, she has like this specific character trait that we haven't talked. Well, you'll see, and it's like she really probably in real life would have girls working in her gang, like because of a certain thing.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was interesting to me. I would never have expected that, but Eugene is working, decides they take care of him, they give him money, he sells drugs, somebody pulls up, they go under this aqueduct, and he, in their car, and he goes up, you want to buy, and it's the public defender who defended his brother against this charge of killing this kid. And, you want to buy this drug? You want to buy that drug?
And surprisingly, the only person in the whole city who cares is...
the public defender.
The lawyer. And Safi doesn't like her either. She's probably,
I don't know. She's a very... Well, no,
she's just not your type, you know, like...
Marco, God bless it. Did you get off of it? They say, even the mayor tells Bryan Cranston, you know, she's a troublemaker. She's going to cause you trouble.
You should sleep with her.
Yeah, he says you should sleep with her. And
then later on, he says you shouldn't sleep with her.
It's just bullshit. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry.
It's like she's the only person who cares that Eugene is just running around rampant around the city. And she picks him up and gives him meals like 2 or 3 times. She takes him to the fucking trial. And he just doesn't even care. He's just like, I don't care. I want to do what I want. I want to be a part of the gang. Because I'm getting all this money. And it's like, God, this kid is just so unlikable. He's just the worst piece of... Right, Safi?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the worst. Like, how could you like this character?
But Marco's giving him affect. He's just a robot.
Well, I know. Well, that's what makes it worse.
He's giving him a whiny, complaining voice.
Because that's what he
doesn't have that. He has no affect. He can't act. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mean I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be that way, but he can't act. And we saw him in this Goosebumps show. He was the same way. He doesn't have any affect. That's what I used to work in a mental health office on the campus of the University of Illinois, and they would say that about people like who are depressed. They have no affect. I mean, they show nothing, show no feeling, like somebody's a sociopath. He's not even sociopathic.
He acts
like a robot.
He acts like a sociopath though, like especially in season 2, where he doesn't show any remorse for what he did to innocent person, to him. And I would just say, like, my opinion of him is not improved. In fact, it's gotten worse, because it's like his whole family dies, and what's the first thing he does? He becomes a gangbanger. Like, wow.
He's really,
what a smart kid.
I don't know this was the weirdest gang. I mean, I don't know. It was almost didn't seem very threatening to me.
It was like a club. It was like more of a club than a gang.
Yeah.
Like, this is like the jazz club, like like we just sit around listening to music and reading poetry or something.
Come up with all these wads of cash.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, the thing about, there's this trial. What's the trial of? The trial is of Carlo. Who's Carlo? Carlo is the Italian brother of the boy who was killed in the street. And he was in prison already for an assault. And he only had 2 weeks left. And his mom convinces him, well, you go to this other one and you kill that Kofi kid because he killed your brother. Which, no, he didn't. But they don't know that. And so that's what this whole thing is about. Ends up being. It goes back to the boys killed in the street, but then it goes to his brother, Carlo. So the trial is of Carlo. And Bryan Cranston is the judge, because he wasn't supposed to be the judge, but he got rid of the original judge by some hanky-panky. And so it's just all these contrivances to get Bryan Cranston as the judge, to get Carlo off, because the mob boss found out.
Did you like it?
That Bryan Cranston is involved in what happened to his other son.
Did you like it? Did you like?
So it's contrivance after contrivance after contrivance after contrivance. To get this trial? Certain evidence that can be presented, certain witnesses that can be presented.
Did you like it when Bryan Cranston?
You have the jury sending little notes to the judge, which is they're all having a fit. Like, who did that note? Where'd that come from? Which juror did that? And apparently, they can take, I didn't know, jury members can take notes, but I guess they have to leave their pad of papers there.
Did you like it when Bryan Cranston? Did you like it when Bryan Cranston got Carlo off?
Well, they didn't really show it. They just showed. Well, I guess they did. The jury said he was not guilty. And the guilt part was that he had killed Kofi in jail. And there was a big thing with the door, and the public defender went in there and tested the door to the jail. And despite all that, he even had footage of Kofi leaving the jail cell after Carlo smashed his head in. He actually could walk out the door, and he collapses right outside of his jail cell. So they even show that. So there's like a multiple contrivances, and then in the background of this whole situation with the trial, you have the daughter of the mob boss,
Fia.
who's with Fia, which is Fiona. So
no, it's not. No. It's Sophia.
Oh, I thought it was Fiona. Well, Sophia.
You will not say her name incorrectly on this channel.
Okay, so anyway, then you have Adam, who killed her brother, but decides to cozy up to her, and he's not. It's not because he's an evil person. I don't know why. This is during the whole show, his bad decision making, and I'm like, God, why are you doing that? Because she misses her brother. She found out that he did it. I don't know if she ever does find out. But why are you cozying up to her? And she really cares about him.
Or like
in fact, he does care about her too. So they have a romance.
Or like the thing where he goes to the prison that Coffee is at, and he takes pictures of the prison. That was another thing he did that was stupid. And his dance. What you liked his dance? Like, that was the weird part. Was Safi
He did this, and it was so. If you think about the whole show, he did this like he was trying to make himself feel better, and he just started dancing around, not goofy dancing, but just like swaying and moving.
It was goofy because
slowly, and it's just like, what in the heck?
He was like a zombie, and in fact, I did a recreation that you can react to right now. It was pretty good.
And it was kind of dark, so they made it kind of dark with light, a little bit of light.
Here, watch this. Here. I'm going to talk while she reacts. So, click play. No, click the play button. Click
here it is.
The triangle.
I didn't see it.
Now click on the video. Now look at that. See, Safi? that's the... And so, I would say that another terrible thing about the show is the fact that really there's so many plot conveniences. It gets to the point where they actually want you to forget about them. Like, at first there's a couple of things that are like, oh, those don't make sense. There's a lot of these plot holes in the beginning. But then they want you to forget about those, and then they add more plot conveniences and plot holes, things that don't make sense, discrepancies. You didn't even watch the whole thing, Safi. It's still going. Oh, it's not going. God, Safi, you ruined that too.
Okay,
God.
enough, Marco.
Well, what did you isn't that accurate?
Yeah.
See?
It was weird.
Beat that.
It's just another... Of course, nobody could see it but us, but none of the other people in the cast could see it. You know, I mean, like, he didn't do it in front of anybody. He just did it in front of the screen.
Now, I felt like there were a lot of things, too, that they never ended up doing anything with, like, you know, the mom's death. They ask all these questions about it for no reason. And it's like, is this going to be the only season of this show?
And then in the end, the grandma, who is the wife's mom, he tells her, Bryan Cranston tells her, his wife had an affair before she died. And so there's this big thing about telling Adam. And so she tells him, but we don't see that. It's off camera. And why does that matter? And does that have something to do with her being killed? We never find any of that out. And why bring it up? What's that got to do with anything?
There's a lot of stuff like that, like the thing with, you know, the gang, the quote unquote gang, on them having a relationship with the mayor. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's just like it's brought up for no reason, and then they just move on.
Yeah. So, but. And then at the end, a horrible thing happens. In the car, when Kofi took the car, he found a baseball. And unless I missed it, there was never anything said about the baseball. It looked like an older baseball. Did I miss something? And so...
what do you mean you missed something?
Did I miss that there was something valuable or special?
It had autographs on it.
It did have autographs?
Yeah.
I didn't see them.
What?
I didn't see the autographs.
God, Safi, what else did you miss? What other key details did you gloss over while you're playing solitaire on your Facebook games?
What would the autographs have been? So,
I can't remember.
Well, I mean, New Orleans, I don't believe they have a baseball team.
It wasn't Ty Cobb.
So, Kofi finds that, and with his things after he passed away, because he was killed by Carlo in the jail cell, he had, they give these things, do they give it to him or his mother? His stuff, and so I guess they gave it to his mother, and then Eugene got the baseball. So he's been carrying it all this time, and he gives it to the public defender, and public defender says, I'll get money for it. Well, he gave it to Bryan Cranston, who recognized the baseball because it came from his car.
And he bought it. And there's this whole plot convenience and this symbolism crap where the money that Bryan Cranston gave Eugene is the money that Eugene bought a gun with, and then that's the gun that he kills Adam with, and it's like, fuck you. Like, well, that's what I have to say to the show.
The thing is, Eugene doesn't know the money came from Bryan Cranston, of course. That's still, he's keeping his thing with that his son really had driven the car. That's kept a secret as much as possible, because a lot of people found out by the end, but not everybody, especially Eugene, his brother, Kofi's brother, didn't know until the very end. And then Eugene, like he said, he buys a gun with that money. How convenient.
Yeah.
And they showed him. I thought he was going to pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, you thought he was going to hire someone. No, Safi, he wants to do it himself because
that's his brother.
Because he's the one and only badass Eugene Jones, as we find out in season 2.
And it was a lot of money. They didn't exactly show it, but you could tell there were big bills in there. And so he buys this gun.
He's like, I don't want to buy food and stuff for myself. I want to go buy a gun because that's the smart thing to do that a kid would know.
Mob boss, who's been threatening Bryan Cranston this entire time, saying, you better get Carlo off from killing Kofi in jail, or I'm who knows what's going to happen. But and Bryan Cranston's taking him seriously, and at the very end, this is the last episode, the last few minutes. The mob boss has a restaurant and hotel, or a big restaurant.
He has a hotel.
Okay, and so in front of it, he has told these huge guys, 2 security guards, to keep everybody out. Well, Bryan Cranston, he calls Bryan Cranston, says, your son's here, and I don't know if he can breathe or not, or some kind of weird threatening thing.
He brought, and you're doing the thing again.
Well, he
brought him there so that he could show him that he did a good job. He's moved on. He's not going to hurt Adam, even though he knows that he did it. And he gives him a hug, and that Bryan Cranston's still trying to get in. And so he distracts the guards so that Eugene can get in on accident.
Yeah, it's by accident, because he's like, I gotta get in there, I gotta go in. And they're so busy paying attention to him, Eugene slides behind them. Oh, what a convenient thing.
It's so bad. And it's such bad writing.
And he has a gun in a paper bag, and he pulls it out. He sees Carlo standing there, and he shoots. And Carlo moves, and he hits Adam, who's there visiting the girlfriend. And he kills him. And he's there. He slumps next to a wall, and he's bleeding from almost like the same spot that the motorcycle boy bled from. And Bryan Cranston comes running in there, and he's crying. And that's the end of the show. And Jamal. I'm sorry.
What the fuck?
Eugene just stands there, and he drops the gun. He has this kind of shocked face. Like I said, during the whole show, you can count on one hand the number of times he showed any affect at all.
2 times.
That was probably the one out of the 2 times.
Yeah.
He showed, and it was just faint.
It was like, oh yeah, I accidentally did something. and Safi, are you excited? Do you think that they're gonna get him? Like, do you think they've got to get him? Like, he's standing right there, just
plus
frozen.
The fact he was coming in there to kill Carlo.
Yeah.
And they know that he's related to Kofi.
Like the police, they're gonna be there in 2 seconds. They're gonna get Eugene, hopefully torture and kill him. Quickly.
And they showed them torturing Kofi to get him to admit that he had killed that Italian boy.
Kofi didn't deserve it, but Eugene does. And so, they're going to get him, right? Like, don't you think, he's right there? Like, the police are going to be there. the hotel security, they're going to get him.
They can't do that because there's too many people.
There's no way
witnesses.
There's no way that he's just going to be able to waltz out of there.
I don't believe
he's.
Well, no, I think he'll get arrested.
Yeah, he's got to be That's just like that's real life. Like, it's not a show.
They can't. Maybe that doesn't happen because Marco's laughing. But I mean, if he gets away, that's such a plot convenience that's almost absurd. Well, Marco says the second season doesn't start right after that happens. It starts, would you say, a year later?
It does and it doesn't. Like, it's really weird. Like, they flash back like between the past and the present, so they show like a little bit of the night of, and then they show a little bit of the present, and then they show a little bit of the night of, and it's like this really weird way that they chose to.
Forth? What, the first episode?
Yeah,
it's during the whole season.
No, just the first, and it's like it's really weird how they chose to start it off, but you think that that's absurd. It gets so absurd, like just everything in general with Eugene, like everything with Eugene is like the worst TV show next to Better Call Saul, because it just gets so unbelievable and so ridiculous that people were joking that like he's gonna be given the key to the city and become mayor. Like, that's how bad it got with that piece of shit character. So he's gonna get caught though. Like, you know, that's real life. Like, you can't avoid that.
But despite that, Adam had made so many terrible judgment calls, and I mean, the thing about not pulling over to get his inhaler, and then running into that boy, and also the boy was riding a motorcycle, which he did not have a license for, and plus you have to have special training, and he had neither. And he's, you know, I'm not going to blame him for him being hit, because Adam should have pulled over.
Well, what was he doing, though? That's what you said.
Retrieved his inhaler.
But that's what you said. You said, what was that other guy doing? Like, we saw what Adam was doing, but what about the kid who gets killed? Like, what was he doing?
He was just joyriding.
Yeah.
On this brand new motorcycle that his father, the mob boss, had just given him.
Not paying attention.
He had a helmet on, but it was one of those, I don't know how they describe it, but it doesn't cover your whole head. It only covers the top part of your head. They're not considered safe. I've read about this anyway, because in our state, we don't have to have helmets. But we came from Missouri. Missouri, you have to have a helmet. In Illinois, I'm not sure. We lived there. But here you don't. But I have read about those little helmets. And he had a thin little helmet. This is a really nice motorcycle. But he, I just don't know. I guess Adam must have veered to the right, and he just runs into the kid.
But what was your favorite episode of the season? Because I would say...
well, I don't know.
I would say it's almost too hard to say, because it's like there's good and bad in each episode. So it's hard to pick one that's like
the thing is,
the best.
There's just so many contrivances that they inject, and I guess I liked all the courtroom stuff, even though I knew that some of the stuff going on would never be allowed. And for one thing, I mean, he said no member of the public.
And then Adam comes in.
Yeah, and I'm like, what? And then Eugene was a member of the family, so he could be there. You can be there if you're a member of the family, but there's no press and no public. And so Adam shows up. Why? I don't know. And there's just a lot of little picky things. And the thing with the note from the juror, and of course Bryan Cranston, he interferes with. He's going to be in big trouble too. He interferes with the witness. He drugged him, so it looked like he was having a drug interaction. He couldn't testify, and it would have it would have been against Carlo.
Sorry, guys. Safi has tuberculosis.
I don't have to. Just had this cough.
Yeah, you've had
Anyway,
this cough for like a year. So, anyways,
again, this my food review is
we're not done
spaghetti.
yet.
I just want to say it for it because my throat's tickling so bad. I need to get another.
Yeah, get your inhaler.
I don't have an inhaler.
Get your inhaler and your breathing. What do they call it? The breathing oxygen thing. Like the girl on Bates Motel.
I don't know anything about that.
No, you haven't seen that either yet. You will, though. So there was this big dilemma. And that was like, I didn't even think about this really like when I did the review for season 1's finale. And that was that Lee comes up to Michael, and, you know, this was when she's just treating him like a piece of crap. And she's like, I know what you did, and you have to cleanse your soul now by admitting what happened and putting Carlo in prison and letting Eugene testify. Like, you have to do this, Michael. I'm never going to hook up with you again, but you have to do this for yourself, and you have to cleanse your soul and put your son in prison and, you know, lose everything because, you know, it's the right thing to do. Even though I'm the one who got Kofi killed in the first place. And then he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, a lot of the last couple episodes, you know, Bryan Cranston, he's just like, I don't know what to do. It's like he's got like a constant stomach ache, and it's really kind of stressful to watch. But then, what do you know? He chooses to not let Eugene testify, and therefore giving Carlo the victory. And I felt like that was a big dilemma because it basically set the events in motion. Of Safi, you listening?
I heard something about something set the events in motion.
There's a big dilemma where Bryan Cranston could either let or not let Eugene testify, which would have put Carlo away or let Carlo go. And I felt like that stupid lawyer, like Lee, like she's such a shitty lawyer. Like first she gets Coffee killed, and then
this is
right,
the public
Safi?
Defender. Yeah. She got him killed because she just said something that she shouldn't have said, and that was it.
And then she's so stupid. Like she doesn't have any bargaining power with Bryan Cranston. Like Bryan Cranston, he could either do this for the Baxters and keep his son with him and not in prison and not hurt, or he could be killed and his son could be killed and a lot of other bad things because then he could tell the truth. And it's like that female lawyer, she's not even going to hook up with him anymore, and she's trying to tell him what to do. Like who does she think she is? Like what does she think she's doing? Like she's like, I'm not going to hook up with you anymore, but you should cleanse your soul. And it's like, fuck you, bitch. I'm gonna help Carlo not die, and therefore help Adam and help the Baxters. Like, F you. What's your benefit that you're giving? Like, the benefit. What benefit would Bryan have gotten if he had admitted it and said everything and let Eugene testify? He wouldn't have gotten anything. He would have gotten bad benefits. So, like, it's like, to me, it was like a no-brainer. Like, I easily would have not let Eugene testify and said F Eugene and F the lawyer, too.
Well, no, he did everything, quote, by the book, what he was allowed legally to do. It just didn't seem right.
No, but the big dilemma, though, was letting Eugene testify or not, because then if he had let him testify, it would have revealed that Adam was the one who did it.
I guess. I don't know about that.
Or just someone else in general. And so that was the big event that set the events in motion. And I felt like I would have easily helped out Carlo rather than helped out piece of shit Eugene, the piece of shit lawyer.
If you want to know why he wasn't allowed to testify, it was because all of the prosecution's testimony that they had planned was all done. And so they called it closed. So he would be testifying after that, and they're not supposed to allow any more testimony from anybody because it was considered, quote, closed. So he had the legal right, but Bryan Cranston did, to shut it down and not allow him to do that. But the thing is, I mean, if he wanted to, he probably could have done it, but technically they said it was closed, so therefore he couldn't testify. The thing about this case was it was a death penalty case, and the Baxters are they're all, like I said, it's one effing mob family, which is just bizarre to me, that controls all of New Orleans. I mean, come on, really? One family?
Yeah.
And they're not even that big of a family. There's not tons of uncles and grandpas and all that. It's just the dad and mom and the bigger brother and the younger brother before he got killed, and then the daughter. That's it. That's the whole family. I mean, come on. And so it was just... I'm going to say my food review now. I gave it my spaghetti, and I did that because you can contrive the spaghetti, and you can put bad contrivances and good contrivances. And what I mean by that, I put ground beef in it. It's a meat sauce.
Yeah.
And then, but I also put in a little bit of I put in mild Italian sausage, just like one link to mix with the ground beef.
It's kind of like a manly meal, but girls can eat it too.
Oh, for God's sakes. And then I call them chunks, and you fry some really spicy Italian sausage. Usually, now I put it down to 1, and you do it a certain way, and you cut all the pieces, try to get them about the same size.
And what I do is I kind of cook it halfway, and then I cut all the chunks.
Right.
And I cook both sides of the chunks like in the pan.
Like
so
frying
that,
them.
Yeah, so that kind of they get a little bit more crispy and the texture's better and
well, they don't fall apart.
More
either.
Flavor, and then you put them in the sauce. But
if you have bad contrivances,
yeah,
you just kind of chop up the Italian sausage any which way, different lengths, and you overcook it.
Yeah.
And so it's burned, basically, and the pieces are burned, and they're not... That's the bad contrivances. It's not what I do, but somebody else was inserting their...
And what they did, it was very sinister. Like Safi's tuberculosis.
I have tuberculosis.
And
I have allergies.
I have allergies.
I have stuff dripping down my throat, and it tickles it, and it makes me cough.
Maybe you're allergic to Bernie now, the cat.
No.
But anyways, what he did was he secretly put in these awful sausage chunks. And so, like, the night before last, I got a chunk on accident that was his. And it was so bad, it's like, ugh, gross. So what I did last night was I took all of the sausage chunks that looked like his out and threw them in a pan. And then I got the good ones, and then I put them back because I just thought, this is terrible. Like, that's kind of what they did a little bit for season 2, though. Like, they took out a lot of stupid stuff, and they made a really good show. But then at the very end, they put them all back in that awful last episode.
Well, that's terrible. So that's what and because it's a solid sauce. I've been cooking it since, since 1978.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 1917.
No, 1978. And an Italian girl we worked at the State Historical Society of Missouri. Her name was Laura. And she was Italian, and she taught me how to make a basic spaghetti, and then I've kind of refined it since then. The chunks are I call them chunks when you, like we said, fried these sausages, and then you cut them up evenly, and then you brown each side, each piece, and they're cut the same size. That's kind of an addition I put in later years because everybody seems to like that. I don't care for it, and it's the spiciest sausage too. So it just doesn't agree with me. So,
what else did she teach you how to do?
Nothing. She was what you would call painfully shy.
Oh.
So anyway,
maybe you should have.
Marco, stop with the BS.
Well,
So anyway, that's what I gave because it was a solid. Bryan Cranston, he did a solid job of acting. It was just like, he's kind of the hub of the wheel, and everybody else are the supports. And like we said, I would say the mob mother and the mob father and the daughter were pretty good. And then Adam, he was pretty good, but he just, I don't know, I guess it was really the story with his judgment. His decision making was really bad. But it's not his fault that he got killed. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time because Eugene was trying to kill Carlo. And he wasn't a very good shot, which he seemed like he was standing right in front of him. So it was really, that was weird.
Sorry, everybody. Safi doesn't like to turn her phone off during reviews anymore. Turn it off.
How?
Press this button.
Oh.
Now you see, guys, this is kind of where we're at with Safi and her reviews. She coughs the whole videos, and she leaves her phone on so that it can interrupt the videos.
Sorry. So anyway, that's what I gave it. I don't know what I'm just curious. What food review did you give it?
I told you, so I think I gave it.
Now you think you gave it?
I think I gave it pancakes, chocolate chip pancakes with maple syrup sauce, because that's what I would eat every time I watched a new episode, and it felt like it's a very Sunday show. You watch it one day a week, and that's it.
Yeah, and I've been watching it every afternoon.
Yeah.
When I used to be watching Monk. So, anyway, that's it, everybody. So, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to become one of our subscribers, you're very welcome to do so. Bye!
Yeah, you guys excited to see what she thinks of what happens with Eugene in season 2? Bye.
Bye.